In terms of the prodigal son story, the idea of there is here.
Yeah, the saying is you cannot get there from here. And only those who are unwilling to accept that, those are the only ones that will eventually discover there is here. So the prodigal son said, "This is not where it's at. I want to get somewhere. I want something more. Surely there's more to life than this." And once he got up against the wall, he then realized that he was already there. And that's what the return home to Father was all about. It was that dawning realization that that there is here. And it's that other saying, when you're up against the wall, there's nothing that will get you through the wall. And he got up against the wall, and apparently he came to that realization. He tried everything, and nothing would get him through the wall, including giving up. And in that moment of realization that there was nothing that the ego could do, there was nothing that the fruit that he had collected from the tree of knowledge, nothing could get him through the wall. And coming to that realization, he just let go. That's the third in that quadrant of emergence that I talk about. That was the moment of dissolution, of repentance and release. And at that moment, then he came to the realization that there is here.
So it's kind of like when I'm playing basketball. Okay, I think, okay, you know what? If I start doing in and outs all the time, it's gonna work out. Or if what I'm gonna do is I figured out when I pound the ball and do this, it works. So I'm developing all these strategies, right? And then I'm thinking, no, that's not working. Okay, maybe if I put my foot more like this, maybe I'm doing this. Okay, you're developing all these strategies. Then finally, you're like, dude, I was the best in the world when I wasn't even aware of what I was doing. And then somehow, I don't know if it's possible because people say it's impossible to lose bad habits. It's very difficult. So like when the shooting machine messed up my shot and everything with that. But if then you're finding like, okay, whatever. Just let go, release. And now you're back to the beginning, but you strengthen yourself. You learn maybe things, but now okay, I'm just going to be more like I was in the beginning. There was here.
Yeah.
And now you're just flowing again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how do you get back to there?
Nothing will get you there, and nothing is what gets you there.
But it's different than the original beginning, though, right? Because also in the beginning, when you're in the really, really beginning, you suck because you don't know how to do anything. But there is a point where you're very flowing, you're very good. But you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
At first, you don't have any your conscious. They call it unconscious competence.
Yes.
And stuff. That's like the flow.
Yeah.
But any thoughts at this?
You had no currency that you could use at that point. It just happened. But as a result of trying to get there, then you developed a whole vocabulary.
So I think people understand what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
So you want to talk about that story of Mary and Martha? Remember, Martha was like.
Yeah. Well, this is a similar example. Martha was the one who was in the active meditative discipline, and Mary was in the contemplative meditative discipline. But the problem with Martha is that she thought that was going to get her somewhere. And finally, after hustling around and bustling and trying to prove her worthiness, she had an encounter with the truth, encounter with Jesus, who said, "Martha, Martha, you're trying to get there from here. You might consider the possibility that there is here." Mary has discovered that realization that there is already here, and she doesn't have to make it happen. So, see, Martha wasn't the bad guy, but she was the rebellious one, the one that tried to make it happen, and she benefited from that. We don't know about Mary. Maybe Mary went. We don't know, but Jesus was just saying that you can't get there from here. That's what.
So you're saying that maybe Martha benefited more than Mary?
Well, we don't know, but maybe the story wasn't about Mary. Maybe the story was simply about Martha.
So the idea with Martha and Mary was Martha was like doing the dishes and stuff, though.
Yeah.
And she was thinking that this would please Jesus, whereas Mary, to me, Mary seems more like the inquirer than Martha. She's the one who's sitting with Jesus and listening to everything he has to say, and
Yeah.
and then, but Martha talks down to Mary like, you should help out, but Mary was too focused on the flow, Jesus, or whatever.
On the discovery. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that, Grandpa.
No.
So what about when Jesus said you're either with me or against me, and then we'll get back to the idea of like software, and then hopefully Trump and everything.
Yeah. Well, you're either interested in the flow and preparing yourself for those eternal moments of awareness, or you're not. There's no two ways about it. And like. He who is not for me is against me. He who is not interested in the flow is interested in something else that's not going to get you there. That goes back to that story of the man at the sheep gate pool. And Jesus said, are you interested in the flow, or are you interested in your excuses and your reasons and in your complaints and in your criticisms of other people? What are you interested in? Wake up. You can spend your whole life interested in those things, or you could be interested in the flow. You're interested in taking up your bed and walking.
And yeah,
you can't combine the two. It's either one or the other.
So, any other thoughts there, Grandpa?
No.
Yesterday, remember when we were watching that guy talking, you're talking about expectancy, and this guy was, the preacher was talking about how you should have expectations, and you were saying that expectations could be good because they could increase your aliveness, but you're talking about how expectancy is more important.
Yeah, see, expectancy is a mode of being. Expectations is a mode of doing. You have particular expectations, and you're going to do something in order to accomplish or reach those expectations. But expectancy is a mode of being. Now, obviously, that's going to result in doing, but you're guided by your expectancy. You're kept alive and on the journey by your expectancy, because you expect that the world is fair, that there is an order we depend on. The universe is conspiring to benefit us rather than to destroy us. So you have that great expectancy that something good is going to happen to those well prepared and open to that, expectant for the blessing.
So, yeah, that's that. But the difference between expectations is when you have an expectation, this is what you talk about. Now, you already have it determined what you want. But expectancy is you're more open to blessings or inspirations or things that are, you're expecting it, but not it. You don't have it already delineated and anchored in that idea, but you're open for something greater, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So we don't have any idea of what the true blessings are. We only have fruit from the tree of knowledge that tells us what the good in life is all about. And we've all been, to some degree, mesmerized to the belief that the expectation in life is to work hard, build a nest, make it comfortable enough, and have enough resources saved up that we can die before we run out. That's the great expectation.
Yeah, that's it.
No.
So what about the "ask and you shall receive" quote?
Yeah, that's saying the same thing. Have a great expectancy. Live a life of inquiry, of exploration, of discovery.
We talked about the idea, though, that if you ask and you shall receive, it's not saying that everything you ask for you're going to receive. But if you're going to receive something, you got to ask.
Right.
What is it?
You got to have an empty bucket in order to receive something in your bucket. If you got it full of expectations.
If you have expectations, you're not asking anything, is what you're saying.
Right.
But
you're demanding. But that at least raises your level of aliveness.
But yeah, so you're asking something. The only way you're going to receive something is if you're. But also, you could receive something without asking too, right? But if you do ask, then you're likely to receive. Am I right?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts of this, Grandpa?
See, when you're not asking, you're demanding. You can get things. If your lifestyle is pushy and demanding, you will get things. You can get your expectations. But again, like the prodigal son, he began to see that what he got was empty and wasn't working.
Any other thoughts of this, Grandpa?
No.
So I think I want to make another video after this real quick.